For days, I've been following this frozen river. Bad weather has made my progress slow. The ice could break beneath our feet. I'm not alone on this adventure. 2 Buddhist nuns have come to pick me up on the only path that leads to their village in the Himalayas, cut off by the snow. I'm heading to their tiny nunnery up in the Zanskar range. More than 15 years ago, at 3,700 meters above sea level, I came across a small community of Buddhist nuns who changed my life. Their life is harsh, but peaceful. With them, you learn to see time differently. I'll be reuniting with my friends in deep winter, the only season that forces them to live life to the rhythm of a bygone age. The outside world is watching, eager to take over this corner of paradise. This is most likely Zanskar's last winter cut off from the world. So I'm here to film the promise of happiness anchored in the instant. I discovered this enchanting valley one winter. Located in northwestern India, Zanskar is a landlocked region. At the foot of the great Himalayan barrier, a people numbering 13,000 live there in harmony. My heart beats for the village of Nunnery, where my friend's Nunnery is. Our journey begins in the town of Leh. We leave it on a new road under construction. It will eventually link Leh to Padum, 170 kilometers away, as the crow flies. But in the meantime, we still have to walk along the iced-over river. Here's the fleeting ice track. The only way to Zanskar in the winter. Here, they call it the Chadar. We have planned for a 2-day trek, so we have 2 days' worth of food with us. The nuns never venture out on the Chadar, but my arrival has changed things. Today, Kesung and Yangdol have braved the frozen river to escort me to their nunnery, a great proof of friendship.
One day, a stranger came to the nunnery. He said, "You're always happy. Why is it you're always laughing?" I told him we had a French friend, that she helps us, because we don't have much. So everything is fine. He said, "Excellent," and gave me a big hug.
Accompanying our female threesome is my partner Manu, who'll be helping me to film. Togje, a friend from the village of Nunnery and our indispensable guide, and a few guys from Zanskar who have latched on to our party. There's a permanent spectacle underfoot. Sometimes the water makes a torrential appearance, reminding us that the river is still alive, even while seemingly dozing beneath its blanket of ice. The day begins with bad news. Water has covered the ice. The Chadar is alive, changeable, subject to the whims of nature. Nothing is foreseeable. That evening, at the time we were supposed to arrive, we've only covered half of the river. We're out of food. If things don't improve, we'll have to return to Leh. The snow builds up as fast as our lateness. The river is unnegotiable. We're forced to wait until it freezes over again. You look worried.
Of course I am. We'll be walking in water.
It's most dangerous when there's water on the surface. Coming here, I was running with pleasure. It only took us 13 hours.
The only hope for our party to reach Zanskar is supplies flown in by the army.
I said I need food because I have people with me.
12 out of which 2 are foreigners. They are from France.
Yes, the food's here. We're so happy that the food's here.
There's a lot of chicken in the rations.
The food's here. We won't starve to death.
Now we're sure to make it to Zanskar.
Rajma curry ready to eat. Yes.
We thought our problems were over, but this year the river is particularly rebellious. The local authorities have even forbidden all access. From now on, we're the only ones beating the track through the water.
I'm gonna die. My feet are frozen.
Oh, Caroline. It was like the path of death.
We still have to make our way through the snow to Zanskar. In local memory, this is the worst chadar experienced in the past 15 years. The gorges finally open onto Pidmo, the first village in Zanskar. We still have another 7 to pass through before reaching the Nunnery.
They must all be very worried back home. We should have arrived 2 days ago. They must be very worried. That isn't good.
We'll all have to pay for this bad karma. Half for Caroline, half for Kisang, and the other half for me.
3 halves make 1.5. At minus 40 degrees Celsius, the cold is so deep that it's more prudent to keep walking. I love this season more than any other. It seems to fix an entire world in the purity of an instant. Zanskar unfurls before our frozen eyes, majestic in its thick cloak of snow.
Great. We'll be home soon.
And you can sleep.
For 3 days at least. I'll need that to get my old bones back into shape.
I'm happy, but it's so cold. My fingers are totally frozen. If we can find a car in Zangla, we'll be able to reach the nunnery before nightfall. And then it'll be, oh, Caroline!
We were so worried with all that snow.
She was worried.
Your cheddar must have been hard going with all that snow.
It took us 10 days. In Zanskar, big displays of emotion are rare. But this reunion is an exception, and it's impossible to sneak off to the nunnery without calling into the village down below to greet the families of our fellow Chadar trekkers.
How worried we were. With all the snow, I was crying with worry. Really, it was such a worry. I wished for you to have enough food to last a year on the Chadar.
The cold, the lack of food. What a worry.
We'll stuff you with food for 3 days.
But we can't eat any more.
I'm so happy. We're finally safe.
I tell of the torments of the Chadar, provoking keen interest and joyful attention to the stories of our lives. Forced to live together, the Zanskarpas share everything. That's what impressed me most when I first discovered Pansokling Nunnery overlooking the village.
Here you are at last.
These are the women I came to see again, those I call the sowers of joy.
Here you are.
Sorry I'm late. I spent the happiest days of my life here. Our friendship defies time and all boundaries.
I was so worried. I was scared I'd never see you again, that you were dead. How awful.
She was weeping with worry.
She scolded me for crying.
Would you have preferred it if I'd vanished on the Chadar? Everything is different about us except our female condition. I'm free, qualified, and have a critical mind. My friends are believers, penniless, and on the lowest rung of the Buddhist ladder. They're uneducated and never judge what's in other people's hearts. I was wept away by their unshakable joy and extraordinary generosity. In 2012, the year of the dragon, I took these women who'd never left their mountain to discover the hundreds of wonders contained within their vast country. A pilgrimage in the footsteps of Buddha, a confrontation with the immense diversity of India. In 2015 in France, they sowed their joy with exceptional strength. Thousands of encounters later, I believe my friends are even stronger. Once back at the nunnery, thanks to the great involvement of the villagers. We built a school, new cells, a water reservoir, a solar power plant, and a fence to keep out bears. Behind each of these achievements lies a cardinal desire: to ensure that Punsogkling has a future and remains a genuine school for happiness. Clearing the roofs of snow at daybreak is crucial to preventing leaks. Faced with the great Himalayan barrier, this task seems more like an offering than a chore. Under a blanket of snow, the world is forgotten. The valley's wintry isolation guarantees a modest, gentle happiness. But the new roads, Indian chadar tourism, and the installation of fibre will see the end of these winters of old, which seemed immutable to me. In terms of culture, Zanskar is Tibetan. No longer being able to pray would distance its inhabitants from the path to enlightenment. But reading and rereading the precepts of Buddha demands time. And it's what winter offers, unlike summer, when there is so much to do to ensure the livelihood of the nunnery and the development of the valley. For my friends, happiness isn't consequential, but daily work. Collective willingness reaffirmed every day. In 15 years, I've never seen the anger of one get the better of the happiness of coexistence. Sharing tasks is done without any hierarchy. Their prayers remind them every day of what is essential. They practice effort, patience, tolerance, generosity, and ethics. This way, they embody the values which drive them. Abipeli, the venerable elder, is cherished way beyond the village. When you were young, how many nuns were there here?
11 or 12?
No more?
No, we've never numbered more than 11 or 12. Our old nun used to say, when one arrives, another leaves. She said we should never be more than 12.
Today, there are 13 of them. From Abipeli to the 3 novices, like Sonam, the age range is very wide. It's frozen. Sonam is a comnier. She's in charge of the dukong, the prayer building. It's an important job.
Early in the morning, the comnier must pray in the dukang. Light the candles, empty the bowls.
What time do you get up?
In winter, not before 7:30 because of the cold. But in summer, 5:30 or 6 o'clock.
The nuns aren't cloistered at Punsongkling. Nearly every day they go back and forth between the nunnery and their parents' homes in the village. Sonam, why did you become a nun?
I like the idea.
In what way?
There's not too much work. We stay here and pray.
You can also say to help your parents.
Yes, to help my parents.
You mustn't forget them.
Married women can't help their own parents. They live elsewhere and must look after their children. A nun's life is filled with happiness, but life is hard for a wife. There are the children, lots of work. Nuns have work too, but not the stress of a husband and kids. And with you around, the nunnery is such a happy place.
You're happy?
Yes, I am.
Sonam can't stay at the nunnery.
Why not?
She's too naughty.
In that case, I'll take her place.
Isn't the nunnery beautiful?
Yes. Not being there for 2 or 3 days gets me down. But in the village, my parents need help and ask me to stay. And when you're here, we want to see you. When I'm not at the nunnery, I get bored.
In my country, some people practice yoga. One type is called laughter yoga.
We're experts in laughter. We're no good at doing this or that, but laughter is no problem.
Praying is the job of these women, and often it's on behalf of one of the villagers during long days of immersion. Today, the nuns have been invited by Tukje, our guide on the Chadar.
It's for my 49th birthday, a special year in Tibetan astrology. It's so I don't fall ill.
Every 12 years, at the start of a new cycle in Tibetan astrology, this ritual is performed for each villager by monks who master the codes.
The number of prayers must correspond to the ages. If they don't correspond, we add some prayers. There must be more prayers than the sum of the ages. It's to prevent the person from falling ill so that they have a long life. In this case, so he can pray and come and fetch you on the Chadar.
In this cramped space, the whole family lives and sleeps during the harshest months. Their day revolves around the kitchen because they need to eat a lot to ward off the cold. I adore how winter suspends time, when body and mind focus on what's essential. Eating, staying warm, praying, talking and laughing. Always laughing. Simple, banal acts which take on all their strength here. In deep winter, the Zanskarpas often gather for collective prayers. Farmers and public servants, men and women, young and old, meet up for whole days in the village hall. These mountain people are convinced that here they can find an answer to their hopes and fears. But what I feel most of all is the force and beauty of an entire people. The women are very diligent about reciting mantras. Few of them are able to read the prayers. Until a few decades ago, women didn't study. The only way a woman could obtain a semblance of education and independence was by becoming a nun.
Being a nun brings happiness.
So you've had a happy life?
Oh yes, really. After I die, I want to be reincarnated as a nun. And I believe I will.
If you're a woman?
Right, I'll become a nun again.
And if you're reborn a man?
As a man? That would be better. So much better.
Better as a man?
Sure.
It's not good to be a woman?
Foreign women are strong, but us, we're not like you.
In Nunnery, the nuns own 2 fields and 2 cows. They're relatively poor compared to monks living in monasteries. This is true of all the nunneries of Zanskar, neglected and fragile in the face of change.
One day, 2 strangers came. We had no blankets to offer them for the night. That was a long time ago. We hadn't met you yet. We had no blankets to share. We had 1 blanket each, that's all.
Abby, how many blankets do you have?
Let's see. 1 blanket, a second one. Yangdol gave me this one. And this one was from Jigmet. This one is all bits that I stitched together. It's not as beautiful as yours. I'm poor. I don't know anything. I have no knowledge at all. I'm a donkey, a cow.
How many times have I heard my friends put themselves down like this? Abby's words echoes those of so many women down below in the village, where a life of labor is judged to be of little value. While Fasang's father makes me some jatos, traditional shoes, the confidences of his wife, tipsy on barley beer, breaks the reserve that the harshness of life usually imposes here.
I've had a hard life. Lots of work, no studies. And we've drunk a lot of chang. All that's left now is death.
So you're not happy?
Happy? There's nothing left but death. What do you expect? We didn't study. We're totally ignorant. And so we drink.
That's fine.
If you say so. Do you feel like having a drink tonight? Some chang?
Is that the chang bucket?
There's not another like it.
Drink chang and die happy. Here, death seems less scary than in the West. It's just a step that it's best to prepare for. It's a lifetime's work. Because for the enlightened Buddhist, death is a release. The mortal coil is much less important than the conscience.
Today, Namgyal, the oldest woman in the village, died. She was over 90. She was 96 years old. She wasn't sick. She simply died of old age.
For 49 days, monks, nuns and villagers will pray to accompany the deceased to the place between two lives where they await reincarnation. It's monks from the great monastery of Karsha who are officiating at the funeral ceremony.
The lamps light the path for the dead, and the prayers help them along the way. It's like someone holding a rope to help you on the Shadar. It's the same.
Is Namgyal now on the path of the dead?
Yes, she's following the path. Then she can be reincarnated as a man, a woman, an animal, or an earthworm. It depends on her karma. We'll accompany her for 49 days. You don't stay with your parents, and you don't accompany them on the path of the dead. It doesn't make you want to die in your country.
Wherever she is, the deceased Namgyal must be delighted. An auspicious reading of her footprints heralds a reincarnation as a man, much more preferable than as a woman. Moreover, an ancient custom has it that women don't attend cremations. But in Zanskar, traditions aren't strictly adhered to, so there's no problem with me filming the pyre.
$500. Any advance on 500? 600. This is worth 4,000. It's good stuff.
I finally get to witness the famous auction, which joyfully concludes the funeral. The cheeky Lama Sendup, an old friend, brilliantly leads the theatrics.
And now some jetos. Jetos.
He's selling the deceased's belongings.
And now a pressure cooker.
The proceeds will go to the monastery, but the nunnery will receive a small share.
Oh, Caroline, my little sister. I'm so cold. I want to die next summer.
No, Abby, we'll all be sad.
Winter is so hard on the others. Building the fire, cooking, fetching dung. It's even harder for all the nuns that have to look after me.
Stop it, Abby.
I can't help them anymore.
It's not hard for us at all.
I helped when I was younger, but I can't do a thing now. I built my own cell, looked after it. I cut the wood, carried the wood and stones. I cut the grass, fed the animals. Okay. Now I'll read some prayers, little sister.
The cow got loose. Yangdal didn't tie her up properly.
Say that to the camera and I'll show her.
The cow's trampling everywhere, with her rope dragging along the ground. She ate a basket that was lying on the ground. You have to look after the cows correctly.
You shouldn't say that.
Of course I should. You have to tell youngsters when things aren't right. Go on, go show her. You have to tell youngsters when things aren't right. Go on, go show her.
What's your answer? Go and answer her.
She should have tied it up herself. Plus, she didn't come to prayers. That cow is hard work, and then she scolds me? Go show her my reply. Without the community, we're worthless. What's the point of being rich and alone? We feed off each other. We're happy because we're happy together.
Jorkit, why did you become a nun?
We started out studying here. The nunnery was so happy, we wanted to stay.
It's true. And instead of going to school, they said, the nuns are happy here. We don't want to leave.
To leave or to stay? This is a dilemma of all future nuns. A few years ago, an elementary school which is closed in the winter was opened in the nunnery to try to keep hold of girls who wanted to become nuns. But it isn't enough.
I can't do it.
To receive a good enough education to grasp the complex tenets of literary Tibetan prayers would mean going to the big monasteries in India, perhaps never to return. Here, they make the best of what they have, and often read without really understanding. Mukit, Yorkit and Sonam were the last to choose to wear the habit. Only 3 young women in 20 years. But the students at the new school are yet to make their choice.
If some of the girls decided to become nuns with us, it would be great. But they won't stay. It's worrying, but what can we do? The nunnery could end up empty.
For the first time ever, they will have to convince the villagers to leave their daughters at the nunnery, the only way to guarantee renewal with future generations.
Can you leave us your daughter? It's important. We don't have enough young nuns. That's why we're here.
I used to think about leaving her at the nunnery. But without a solid education, it's tough today. Before, we stayed here and didn't study very much.
Aren't you worried about the nunnery being depleted?
No, Caroline. The nunnery won't be depleted. It'll keep going.
Of course it could be.
The villagers need to discuss it and take action.
We need to hold a meeting before it's too late.
Only collective awareness from the whole village can save the Tungri nunnery.
Do you realize how lucky we are? When someone dies, the nuns are there within the hour. What will we do without the nuns? We need to think about that.
The head Lama of Karsha Monastery has come to officiate at a purifying fire ceremony. Without formal teaching, the nuns cannot master this complex ritual. The Lama's name is Motop. Punsokling is dear to him. He watched over the nunnery when I took the Sowers of Joy to India. He has maintained very close ties to it. Why are we eating this porridge?
Because they gave it to me.
It's to thank you for your efforts.
Porridge and tea. It's for the throat, because of the smoke. Warm things are good for the throat.
Lama Motup invites us to his monastery's Nyune, an ancient Tibetan Buddhist festival. 2 nuns volunteer to participate, while the rest stay behind to look after the nunnery. It takes us 3 hours to cover the 20 kilometers to Karsha Monastery. It's the biggest in Zanskar. Every winter, there's a collective fast. I practice Nyungne at the Tungri Nunnery, but the one at Karsha is a much bigger affair and attracts the faithful from all over the valley. After a last meal, Fasong, Youngdol and a few others from Tungri will fast. After eating all that, you'll be able to fast for a week.
2 weeks.
For 2 days, more than 100 people will neither speak nor eat and will rise before dawn.
When you stop talking, it's so that you're not reincarnated as an idiot. When you stop eating, it's so that you're not reincarnated as a glutton. When you stop sleeping, it's so that you're not reincarnated as a slacker.
It's said that this practice originated after a leprous nun was cured after fasting in order to turn her suffering into a means of release. Nawang Dolma must help Lama Motup organize the festivities.
The effort of Nyugne erases bad deeds. If it was too easy, it wouldn't work. For your Nyugne to be successful, you must do it with full awareness. You must think of all living beings, from birds to earthworms.
We think very strongly about all living beings. We must engender hope for everyone. Our human incarnation isn't so difficult when compared to that of animals.
It sounds like the jackdaws are talking to each other.
I wonder what they're saying.
On the second day of Nyungne, the giant tankas are unfurled. Imported from Tibet, these tapestries are said to be 900 years old. They're displayed to the crowd once a year. How many times have you done Nyungne?
Who, me?
Yes, if you count all of them.
4.
That's why she only has 4 teeth left.
I couldn't manage to do more.
You've done 50. Well done.
If I don't die, I'll do more.
There can't be many women in Zanskar who've done 50 nyunes.
It was only after my children were raised that I could start doing lots of Nunez. At each moment of hardship, I want to pray more and more, but now I lack time. That makes me very sad.
This year, 130 brave souls have taken the time to refocus through prayer.
When I was a child, there were 400 to 500 people. I became a monk here at Karsha 34 years ago, and there have been a lot of changes since. People have become better off, but hope is diminishing. The number of monks is diminishing too. People are dedicating less time to prayer.
These concerns reflect the relentless transformation of Zanskar. How does one explain what so many travelers feel once they come under the spell of the constant echoes of laughter that ring around this enchanted valley? Is all of this living on borrowed time? As for me, it's with the sowers of joy that I try to be aware of happiness, something that's difficult to maintain elsewhere. Like them, I don't want Punsokling to disappear.
Last fall, 100 bikers came here via the mountain pass. We'll have more cars and more people here. Everything will be more difficult. More pollution, litter on the ground.
Has Zanskar changed a lot?
A whole lot, but it's so much better now.
Better?
Life's much better today.
These days, work is much easier. Our parents had such a tough life. People today are lucky.
Now we have so much more to eat and drink, more clothes. But our breath and minds are more preoccupied. Why? Because people always want more. More clothes, more money. We have to earn even more. Tell me, what good is too much money and too many clothes? Tell me, what's the point of it?
The world changes, but the tremors don't always come from the outside. A few days ago, young Sonam gave birth, alone in her cell, here in Punsokling. Then she ran away, her baby under her arm, towards a new life. We spent 2 winter months together, and nobody noticed a thing. Looking through the film we shot, there are nonetheless a few clues. It makes me think that Sonam was in pregnancy denial, something that my friends find hard to accept. Her pregnancy was invisible because it was unthinkable.
Who's the father?
They say it's a monk.
I never would have imagined her leaving us like that, and especially with a baby.
According to local beliefs, Sonam's act has made the nunnery impure and dishonored the inhabitants of Tungri. Moreover, the loss of one young woman weighs heavily on Punsokling's future. With Sonam gone, are you the new Komnia?
It's a disaster for the nunnery. I feel so sad. It's like someone has died.
The nunnery will rise back up. Thanks to our efforts, it has better support from the village. It's stronger and looking to the future. In this, the intertwining of our lives has played its finest part. Winter kept its promises. But I have to leave, as a pandemic hits the world. To leave while the chadar is passable. I gobble it up in a day, almost fleeing so as not to look back. To stay or to leave? How much choice do we have in life? Is that what karma is? Sonam's was to run away. I so wish that mine could be to continue to live between these two cultures that have raised me. That of my birth, and that which adopted me in Zanskar.